go, the Expert Show, coming at you on a Monday. Got my man Joey, the Reverend, Double McCheese with me tonight. I'm the Birdman, coming at you. Another exciting week of news. A little bit of a break from the chaos we've had last month. You know, dialing down a little bit. Now things are just getting a little weird. You know, with Kamala, there's some weirdness. And former President Trump's been accused of possibly destroying democracy if he ever gets in. Biden actually is going for it with an amendment to the Constitution to actually totally change up the Supreme Court. Did you watch this at all today, Joe, by any chance?
The Biden speech?
Yeah.
No, I try to never watch Biden speak.
Yeah.
That's my go-to.
It's a lot of...
It hurts. It hurts. Like, I literally get a pain inside my stomach here, and it's like partially embarrassment for him, I think, and then partially,
yeah, there's a lot of stumbling and mumbling and fumbling, that's for sure.
Well, it makes you understand why the world's falling apart, Bill.
Yeah, but you really get a lot of sincerity from the man, you know? Like, his legacy's on the line here, destroying the third branch of government. You know, what do you think about that? You know?
I guess it's a good idea for the Democrats.
Yeah. It's funny, you know, right when it's not going their way, you know what I mean? It's like we need to just overturn it or we need to stack the court, but
it can't be good if it's not,
you know,
stacked to us, right?
40 years previously when they were just stacking the court with liberal justices, that was absolutely fine.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. The whole world is just a complete shit show, Bill. I'm starting to worry.
Yeah,
I'm literally starting to get a little worried. I can't hide it anymore.
It does seem like we're definitely in a simulation of some sort because it just seems surreal.
The fourth turning,
I don't know what you want to call it.
The end of the era. Aren't we moving into a new?
We're in the age of Aquarius.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
everything. Aquarius.
Stars are aligning. You know,
things are changing, man, and not for the better that I can tell.
The Anunnaki's coming. You know,
it doesn't feel like anybody's having a good time now. Well, Paris looked like they were having a good time, but most people today just are kind of like, you know, everything costs a lot more. And I guess if you're on the dole, life's not so bad. But even then, you know, you're not. They didn't. I don't think it went up any.
I don't think they're doing.
I think they're still
either.
Inflated. Like they gotta pay. They gotta buy food too. Well, you might get food stamps. I don't know, man. I'm just telling you.
Well, the Targets are, you know, putting everything behind glass now, so you can't, you know, just go steal what you need. So that's a real bummer.
Yeah, that is tough. But you can steal it from somebody else. Just break into their house.
That's true.
I mean, that's next.
Where there is a will, there's a way.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a little used. There might be a couple like pubes on it, but you know, you can get the deodorant, take
Dust it off, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not bad.
I shared deodorant with some people in like junior high. You know what I mean? In the you know.
Yeah, that's before you. That's before you were gross.
Yeah,
Boys weren't gross in junior high. We were just getting there. Later
a couple
on.
people were. You know what I mean? They were like 15 and you're 12, and they got like straight up buckwheat and a headlock going on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Right there, you know?
We had a guy that drove to middle school. Fred Katz, I think, allegedly. Yeah, he used to drive a Duster. Remember those things? It was primer gray, and it would be like blah, 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 blah. He had like motorcycle boots. He was about 6'1", and this was in...
Yeah.
He was in 8th grade when I was in 7th grade.
Full beard.
Yeah, he was a ginger. So he had curly ginger hair with a ginger beard. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, this dude was like, you didn't mess with it, you know. But, I mean, I didn't know much about anything back then, but he was probably selling weed in middle school now that I look back on it. He looked like he might have been.
Sounds like he's got Viking blood.
He definitely had some Viking blood. He might have killed, you know, a couple people on the way to school.
Yeah, definitely in his lineage, he's severed some heads.
Well, a couple.
You know, but hey, that was life back in those days. Life is pretty crazy in these days now because Joe Biden made some remarks at the LBJ Presidential Library today. And, you know, it was a lot about civil rights. He kind of yammered on and on about weird stuff that happened to him in the 70s and how he was shaving in a crappy hotel room, and they came to got him to talk him into being senator, even though he had a really awesome job at some other law firm, but he didn't need to because he was, you know, killing it. But you know, he did it because, you know, he's Joe from Scranton, and
he's a public servant.
He's got a big heart, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he loves the people.
Loves the people.
So yeah, let's. This is a little clip of it. It's about 5 minutes. I don't know. He kind of talks more about what his dream, this thing's dead on arrival anyway, of how he's going to overturn the Supreme Court with this Code of Ethics amendment, which is laughable in and of itself. Bring it, Joe.
I convened a bipartisan presidential commission on the Supreme Court of the United States, comprised of leading constitutional scholars, both liberal and conservative, to provide recommendations on potential reforms to the court. I've been careful in these deliberations because these are serious, serious decisions.
And he might fall.
In the face of increasing threats to American democratic institutions,
Got to be careful.
I use the Commission's analysis, and today I'm calling for 3 bold reforms to restore trust and accountability
Bold.
to the court and our democracy.
Our
As
democracy.
the press shouted to me as I got off
Save
Air Force
democracy.
One,
This would be a
the
drinking game.
Republican Speaker of the House said,
Save the
whatever he
democracy.
proposes is
Every
dead
time
on
you say
arrival.
democracy's in danger when you got a drink.
Well, I think his thinking
It's
is
like the
dead
new
on
Monopoly.
arrival.
Wait for applause, Joe. Don't
Third.
say it.
I'm calling for a constitutional amendment called No One is Above the Law Amendment. It holds,
Oh, that's a good one, Bill.
Really?
Joe.
Usually they have to rhyme. You know what I mean?
I
It'd be
mean this
like-
sincerely, it
or
holds
the
that no
acronym has to work.
immunity
Anagram.
for crimes former president
Yeah.
committed while in office.
Acronym.
I share
Nodal?
our founders' belief that president must answer to the law. The president is accountable in the exercise of the great power of the presidency. We're a nation of laws, not kings and dictators.
Couldn't agree more.
We're a nation of laws?
The decision
not
can be
dictators?
boiled down to the title of one case, Trump versus the United States.
I don't know what Moldbug would
court.
think about that.
Asserted it was making a ruling for the ages. That isn't true. The court made a ruling for one, a former president. No other president in our history has asked for this kind of immunity for criminal actions. And no president, no former president, not me, not one.
You weren't a former president.
Not
Okay, he
one.
never asked for it. You brought him up on all these ridiculous
Yeah,
charges,
yeah, and
and
that's
then
what
he appealed.
Yeah,
So-
the reason why no one's ever had to do this before was because no one's ever arrested a president
right,
before.
because nobody ever tried to arrest a president
Yeah.
for something he did before he was president, and there
Yeah.
was some money, and it was taken by somebody that did something consensual.
I mean, they all made mistakes. All of them.
Yeah,
Truman,
I mean-
Roosevelt, Obama, he killed a bunch
But-
of people accidentally. I mean, Jesus, dude.
but you know, like 34 felonies, like.
Do you-
Usually, you have to go on a week-long crime spree to get that many racked up on you.
But the worst part about this is it's like he didn't even read the ruling. The Supreme Court did not give
Yeah.
Donald Trump
Yeah.
immunity over anything. They gave him, I guess, absolute immunity over anything that was constitutionally given to the president as his task. So anything that's written in the Constitution that he must, shall, or whatever,
Yeah.
however they put it
and
in
anything
there.
that's in his normal duties, I guess, would be his perceived duties as president that he could.
No, that's actually that.
There's something about that.
Only only the things in the Constitution are absolute. Anything in his regular day to day that's presidential
Day-to-day, yeah.
is presumptive
Okay,
immunity,
presumptive.
which means that you can still charge him with it if it's glaringly bad. Like you can go to the court and say you have presumptive immunity, but here's the proof, and they'll be like, no, you don't have immunity on it. So you can challenge that.
Okay.
And then anything in his personal life, he has no immunity
Yeah,
over.
right.
This is the biggest
Or
bunch of
anything
bullshit
above
ever.
and beyond like his duties as president, right? Like if he did something
Like
egregious,
if he bought a
like, yeah,
business on
like-
the side or
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, yeah, or
He went
trade
out-
stocks.
like they act like he could go rob a liquor store, you know what I mean? Or like the old thing, like he could shoot somebody in the streets of Manhattan and he wouldn't go to jail.
well,
right, you know?
so let's say he.
So they're
could-
trying to say he'd be immune to that. You know, he has immunity.
But he's the guy who got immunity because he withheld $1 billion from Ukraine until his son got a job.
Yeah, no.
And it was like, you giving me my son, John? All right, cool.
This is
Here's $1 billion.
mandatory code of ethics.
Yeah.
I mean, are you kidding
This
me? Right
guy
now?
is like, yeah, he has. I mean, I would not. Joe Biden has no ethics, dude. I mean,
You're out of your mind.
no simple way to say it.
Yeah.
There's no funny way to
This
say
guy's
it.
been on the take
He's
for
a
50
yeah,
years.
dude. I mean,
Disgusting. Let's just finish this.
One has and should have been given any exception to this
Makes sense.
with such immunity.
All that immunity.
The second thing I'm asking for, we've had term limits for presidents of the United States for nearly 75 years after the Truman administration. And I believe we should have term limits for Supreme Court justices of the United States as well.
especially since they're all Republicans.
Yeah, because the three that are going to ready to go
Yeah, the
are,
old ones.
are the ones
Yeah.
you're
Are they
going
going to be
to
proactive?
In fact, the
or is it
United
going-
States is
it
the
18 years
only
from now?
major constitutional democracy
revisit this.
that gives lifetime seats in their high court. Term limits will help ensure that the court membership changes with some regularity.
Okay, let's talk about term limits. You know, what about Congress? What about the Senate?
Senate.
You know,
You got no problem with the Senate being in there forever?
Yeah. Like, you know, what about you and your freaking Senate?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
lifestyle.
Well, I
buddy.
had to run. I guess his argument. Well, I had to run for each, and the people
Yeah.
elected me, so they wanted me. But I mean, we all know that like incumbents almost always win.
Yeah.
It's like retarded, like
You're
lopsided.
in,
on
you're the
that.
Democrat of the Democrat state that always votes for the Democrat. I mean, you know, you play the game. Yeah, I mean, you know, he has the whole story. Maybe I should share it with everybody that he's shaving in a Motel 6 or whatever, you know, in between all of his work hard as he's doing 40 hours as a public defender out of the goodness of his heart, but he's trying to start up this baller law firm, you know, and he's out of town, and they came in and it was a ex-Supreme Court justice and the governor and somebody, like, it was just this ridiculous story, like how they all just knocked on his door at some hotel while he was shaving in the bathroom and
told him
talked
what?
him
He
into
had to
like,
run for
you need to
Senate?
be the senator. Well, you know, you're the guy.
Well, he's
Yeah,
not
this
sure if he
whole
did it
story.
either.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
About like
yeah.
it just sounds so ridiculous. Like I had a towel on. He kept talking about him in a towel. It was just a disgusting imagery. But let's just I digress.
That would make timing
So does he.
for the court's nomination more predictable and less arbitrary. Reduce the chance that any single presidency imposes undue influence in generations to come. The bipartisan commission I convened
Except for senators.
analyzed various term limit structures. Based on their report, I believe the best structure is the 18-year term limit. That would help ensure the country would not have
20.
what it has now. An extreme court that's proud of an attack on the confirmation process that's been weaponized by those seeking to carry out an extreme agenda for decades to come. By the way, these guys mean it. These guys mean it.
They mean it, Bill.
Oh yeah.
Project 2025 is
Project
real.
2025
They
coming
mean
to a
it.
theater near you.
Third, I'm calling
He
for
mentions it at
binding
least 4
code of
times in
conduct
his
for the
speech.
Supreme Court.
Is he talking to like government workers? Because I would be the only person that would cheer for this. Because it's like you're never-
LBJ Presidential Library doing this. I'm probably some.
Supreme Court's current
Yeah, you sound
ethics
like
code
a
is
partisan.
weak and
Where's the
even more
Palestinian
frightening,
protesters? We need
voluntary.
a Palestinian
Voluntary.
protester to jump up right now.
Any code of Congress must be
Throw some paint on
enforceable.
Joe.
Under the reform I propose, justice would be required to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, recuse themselves in cases in which they or their spouses have a
That's if
financial
you
or other
dropped a
conflict
$100
of
bill from the
interest.
ceiling, he would bend over and pick it up.
Most people don't realize that Congress passed a law decades ago
Mine.
that says all federal judges,
No joke.
including Supreme Court justices, have to recuse themselves in such cases. But the current justices insist on enforcing that requirement themselves without any public oversight or compulsion.
That's why
See,
you
that's
always
their
put people
decision.
with.
Yeah,
You don't have to
you're
tell
supposed
us
to
how
have
they made it.
integrity
That might
when you
work.
get that position, right?
Yeah,
Court was
you're not-
actually
it's not like
enforcing those
you didn't know
requirements,
right
but
out
they
of high
are
school,
not.
And you got it, and you turned
The
out to be a
court
scumbag.
is
Yeah.
not
These
self-policing.
people are pretty
The
well.
court is not dealing with the obvious conflicts of interest. We need a mandatory code of ethics for the Supreme Court, and we need it now.
What about for presidents and vice presidents
Yeah.
and senators?
And who's going to deem what's ethical, Joe?
President's sons,
Is it
maybe?
you?
Yeah.
Are you the arbiter of ethics?
My fellow Americans,
If he gets a kickback,
based
it's
on
okay.
all my
Yeah.
That's
experience,
kind of the way it works.
Pay the
I'm
dong.
certain we need these reforms.
Kiss the
We
ring.
need these reforms to restore trust in the
Give me
court,
a sniff.
preserve the system of checks
Yeah.
and balances
Click the flag.
that are vital to our democracy. There are also common sense reforms that a vast majority of the American people support, as well as leading constitutional law scholars, progressives, and conservatives.
That's
I look forward to working with the Congress to implement these necessary reforms. A number of members of Congress are here today.
There you have it, folks. Another stunner.
He acts like he really knows what he's talking about. And you can tell when he's reading the stuff that he doesn't even understand how the words are going together. He's just sure he got the word out right. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, but da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, all right, I think I know.
Teleprompter's rolling. You know, what I mean?
He's got the word out. Like he's just going word to word. He's not like reading and like trying to like make it sound like he's literally just going. And another thing, and you're like, all right, huh?
No, I mean,
I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Joe.
at all.
I mean, if we had the time, you should watch the rest of the speech where he talks the whole story about him, and like it's pretty terrible because it's really rambly, but it's like it's another one of those ridiculous stories that you just know isn't true.
Yeah,
You know
dude,
what I mean?
none
Like,
of them are, dude.
It's
From
so
driving
fabricated.
trucks
It's
to,
just so it's just one of those things. Like I'm in a towel, and the ex-Supreme Court judge and the governor and everybody come to my little crappy motel room. I'm just a scrappy lawyer trying to make it, but yet.
You know what's funny, dude? If you worked at a company and every day you came in and you told people stories that you worked with that were just utter nonsense. Like at first they thought you were really a nifty guy because you had a lot of cool stories, and then one person like had just like a lucky figured out like that couldn't have happened.
Yeah, it's one of those people that like first you're like, oh, that's cool, man. They've done a lot of cool stuff, and then you realize like, damn, they just keep telling these stories and they just get more and more wild.
And then one of them actually has like a factual impossibility in it, and you're like, oh, okay, he's just making all this other shit up. Then
like
you start
my
thinking,
dude, my old friend from the East Coast, man, like he used to tell a lot of kind of wild stories about what was happening, and some things were true and some things were not. I couldn't really put my finger on it. Yeah. But then he sends me these things like, I'm in Paris. Sends me this picture. I'm at this so and so's loft, and I'm overlooking the Eiffel Tower and blah blah blah. And I show it to a girlfriend at the time, and she's like, "Look right there. This is like a watercolor thing. There's a artist's signature right down in the middle of it." And I'm like, "This isn't a picture. This is a freaking some kind of painting that's been painted over to look like
a photograph." Yeah. Gotcha. Well, yeah, I mean, dude,
and it's like no, but that is. And then he tried to pedal it like no, but that is the view. That's not actually a picture of the view, but sending you that's the view in a picture, painting.
But it's daytime here, and I wanted to show you nighttime, so I just instead of waiting till night.
So I sent you some famous painting, What I mean? No, it was just then the lights just kind of click on, right? And you're like, yeah, this guy's pretty much been lying. Like
a little bit,
70 to 80% of the time.
And I mean, Joe just he's done it all. Like, if anybody else in the world said they were part of every ethnic community that exists, you would just be shunned beyond belief.
Joe Bidenopoulos.
Yeah, he was in the Greeks.
Yeah,
he was raised by Jews.
Yeah. He's
Latinos.
Puerto Ricans.
Black. He was big in the black community. He used to run in whatever gang was against Corn Pop.
I had that big fight with Corn, big thing.
And then all of this, from what I understand, is like
he's a bad
non-existence.
Dude.
Like Corn Pop didn't nobody from that era knows who Corn Pop is. And if he was such a bad dude, you would know him, right? His name would be on the street. He would be out. He'd be around, but nope. And
I'm sure he could find somebody that knew about Corn Pop. He dug,
Yeah, and you're just gonna keep. I mean, he just lies so much.
Maybe they're probably dead, actually.
Dude, and then this history of lying. He lied about a speech where he stole it, and then he lied when he said he was first in his class at Penn, and then he lied when he said he won a small award.
This story he told today was probably another whopper. It was just disturbing because he talked a lot about himself in a towel, like he was some kind of hot thing.
I don't really want to in a towel. Was he really?
Well, that's the thing. He said he was shaving in a towel, like he just got out of the shower, and he has like shaving cream and all this ex-Supreme Court judge and the governor and some other government bigwig knock on his door to get him to run for Senate.
Wow.
Like he was that important. He was the guy. And he just everybody just believed him.
Like, we done a test, Biden, Joe, and
this was his
have the least amount of integrity from anybody we saw, so you're perfect.
This is when they grabbed him and they made him do all the weird shit to join the club.
Yeah,
like put him in the back of the car and
there's reports, speaking of towels, where female Secret Service had to quit and ask for transfers away from Biden because he would go swimming in his pool and he would come out with a towel, drop it, and just be buck right in front of these Secret Service chicks, and then do his swim. And there's also there's so many reports
that one
about
thing
this guy.
with him with the kids about talking about his leg hair, how he would stroke the leg hair.
Yeah, and he's like he likes kids sitting on his lap.
Yeah.
I mean,
man. I mean,
even if it's innocent, you don't say that.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of creepy stuff we're going to get into in the show today because we have the Olympics.
It's the end of the world, Bill.
Let's just all right. Well,
and I don't feel fine.
So this is Joe Biden's post. Me neither. This is Joe Biden's post about the destruction he intends to put on the Supreme Court. So let's give it a quick read. In the face of increasing threats to America's democratic institutions, I am calling for 3 bold reforms to restore trust and accountability to the Supreme Court and our democracy.
Yep. Drink.
First, I am calling for a constitutional amendment called "No One Is Above the Law" amendment.
No one is above the law, and it's just so funny that they said that for months about Trump. That was the talking point before Weird.
Isn't that a movie starring Steven Seagal?
It's just above the law.
Yeah, oh, yeah, but
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels like it could.
All of his had
that
like
could be
3
the-
letters in it.
Yeah.
Or 3 words. It was like above the
That
law.
could definitely be the
Better than-
sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would make it clear there's no immunity for crimes a former president committed while he was in office. I mean, we already talked about there's distinctions between the crimes. And,
That's what the Supreme Court ruling said.
Right. And it's there because so you can't commit lawfare like they're doing now and use the legal system to attack your political opponent.
Yeah, and not let them
Right.
do what they. The
Yeah.
whole idea is that
Yeah.
you can't be held accountable for that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you'll
to totally cripple your presidency.
yeah. The whole
and
time you're worried about going to jail if you do something wrong. And so you're going to do nothing.
Be under their thumbs.
Which might be good. Well, would have been.
I share our founders' belief that the president's power is limited, not absolute. We know that. We are a nation of laws, not a kings or dictators. Second, we have had term limits for presidents for nearly 75 years. We should have had the same for Supreme Court justices. I mean, okay.
What about senators? I don't understand why nobody. How
it's-
could you even do this without bringing it up?
Right. It's all great. It's all gravy when it serves them, right? But when it's the coin's flipped, it's
Yeah, you can't go. He used to be a senator. They'd all be like, Joe, what the hell,
they would
man?
call this an attack on democracy if this happened.
It's an attack on democracy.
On the
Bill.
other side. The United States is the only major constitutional democracy that gives lifetime seats to its high court. Term limits would help ensure that the court's membership changes with some regularity. That would make timing for the court nominations more predictable and less arbitrary. So what do you think? Your timing for the nominations, like so you can set up your,
Well, that's-
to be in power when your term to pick is. Like,
I guarantee the 18 years is for a reason. And
Yeah.
it's probably
somebody has timed
a
that
couple
out.
years before the new girls get the Sotomayor's and Kagan will probably have to go, but there'll be like 3 Republicans gone by then.
Yeah.
So they're really looking probably what is that, like 3.5 presidents, 4.5
Right.
presidencies for
And I
now?
bet is this supposed to be retroactive too? I don't know if it says that or not.
Well-
you know what I mean? Like, all right, you've been in, is this from 18 years from now?
Yeah, no.
No, I'm sure.
No. It's and probably like a couple of them are like 16.5. And they're like, yeah, 18 sounds good. So they'll get these 2 off, and they're going to steal another election, and then they'll get 2 more put in. Dude, they've probably done so many analytics on the number of this. I guarantee it. There's a plan behind that number. I mean, literally.
No,
like
it's
you
certainly
said.
it's certainly not just arbitrary. I'd picked out of a hat or something. Yeah. So it would reduce the chance for a single presidency to radically alter the makeup of the court for generations to come. Which support a system in which the president would appoint a justice every 2 years to spend 18 years in active service.
Oh, I didn't even
court.
get this.
Huh? Every 2 years you get one.
You just spent, wait.
Does that mean
I
you were going to
support a
have more?
system in which the president would appoint a justice every 2 years to spend 18 years.
Yeah,
In which the president.
But it's still capped.
So someone has to leave. But what if there's no one leaving? What if they
Right. Yeah, there's 9.
Yeah, it's usually 3 against
Yeah.
6 against 3. Yeah, it's 9, and then they want to make it like 12 or whatever, so they can appoint 3 more, and then they'll have even numbers. It's all. But the one thing that he leaves out of that
9. Yeah.
is he's saying, okay, we don't want any one president to have this much power to like put like 5 people in or 3 people or 2 like Trump did, but the Senate has to agree on this shit. So it's not like the president can be like, I'm putting in my the executioner's son here. You know what I'm saying? Like legally, Senate has to confirm these people. You can't put in a real right. That's why they never pick real right wingers or left wingers, because the other side of the Senate won't approve it.
Right,
and
right.
You need, like,
it's not just a straight
it's like
up
a 60%.
They make it sound like it's just
Yeah.
the dictator president just appoints whoever he wants. Yeah, there's a little more to it than that.
absolutely.
All right, let's just keep rolling through this. Third, I'm calling for a binding code of conduct for the Supreme Court. This is common sense. Okay, code of conduct. The court's current voluntary ethics code is weak and self-enforced. Justices should be required. So who's going to... So, okay, this is a checks and balance thing, right? You know what I mean? So now they're going to have another check on the Supreme Court they want to be able to enforce these ethics code.
Right,
This
but do you
is-
understand what this is all pertaining? This entire paragraph here is about Justice, not a black dude, Justice
Clarence
Clarence Thomas. Yeah, he has some issues with this exact thing, getting gifts. So they think if they put this in, they'll be able to kick him out like
Yeah,
automatically,
right.
like he's already failed it. Because it's all going to be like you
No,
said.
no, I get that's certainly the immediate
Sure.
cause of this,
Yeah.
but also, I mean, just think of
Yeah,
this
oh, yeah.
long term, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how big of a deal this
Yeah,
is.
they'll
this
check
kinda,
it, yeah.
This kind of is because it's balanced, kind of the way it is, but this will tip the scales more into the executive branch.
And they can blackmail them,
hands.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
If they have any fun, they can blackmail them later.
Because before, the Supreme Court kind of did have some absolute checks on the executive branch, which is what they hate so much, is why they're even doing this. And with this, they could always call the ethics code into question, right? You know what I mean? And,
Sure, make you recuse yourself from it,
and make you recuse yourself,
so that the numbers go down,
yeah,
and you get
and then they
the
win the
majority.
vote.
Yeah.
So this is a big deal in a lot of ways. If the way this is couched, like it's like all the things, right, that sound good on the surface.
I think it's too
You know,
political now, and this is going to make it more political,
Yeah,
for sure.
but-
I mean, there's definitely political thought going on at the Supreme Court, even though they say there's
But
not.
this completely challenges the entire structure of our government.
Yeah, and I'm sure the algorithm works in their favor, for
Yeah,
sure.
no, they
The
figured it.
18 years somehow works out perfect, where
Yeah.
in like 32 years,
Yeah.
there's nothing.
But the
but-
ability for them to always call a recusal, that you should be recused for such and such
Yeah,
ethics code.
yeah.
It's very arbitrary.
Yeah, you talked
So-
to this guy one time at a fundraiser.
Yeah. Whatever they deem to be a violation of
Sure,
ethics.
it's very it's
Open-ended
not
for sure.
specific at all.
Yeah, ethics. What could it be? Oh, justice should be required to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, and recuse themselves from cases
There it is.
in which they or their spouses have financial or other conflicts of interest. So this
Very
is just
vague.
like, yeah,
As vague
like-
as you can get, dude.
Right. What a conflict of interest.
Well, I'll give you, for instance, Clarence Thomas, his wife, was kind of big into like the Q stuff. Like she was a little like loose on that, and there was like he wouldn't have been able to like rule on the
or
January 6th.
Aaliyah's wife flying the flag upside down.
Yeah, but
They would have absolutely go for
They
that.
couldn't do
yeah.
it on the whole Jan 6 would have been left in the hands of Democrats. Anything that had to do with like what Trump just got, like and they found that one law illegal that they used it in the wrong way, shape, or form, and it affected a lot of cases. From what I understand, I still don't know
Right.
the outcome of it. But
So this is a really big deal. Every other federal judge is bound by an enforceable code of conduct, and there is no reason for the Supreme Court to be exempt.
But so who are these? I mean, he doesn't exactly say who's making these decisions.
Yeah, we have no idea who's
is it the Senate?
who decides who decides the conflict of interest. I mean, it feels like it's I don't know. He doesn't say.
Is it the DOJ? Does the guy
Right.
that you put into the DOJ go, no, you can't do that. That's a conflict of interest. You're going to have to recuse yourself. I mean, yeah, it sounds like
Seems like somebody
another way
it would be something like somebody that's an
fucking
executive employee. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah,
like
we're
the
just
DOJ.
they're just going around the end again, dude. Everything's around the end. Like they hate the Constitution, and the Constitution was meant, mostly to keep people from cheating. I don't feel like it was written in the spirit of people are good and we just need a vague set of laws. Basically, the whole checks and balances thing is underneath the idea that there's bastards like this out there that are going to try to like game the system at every chance they can. And so we put so many checks and balances in
Right.
to try to keep people from being like corrupt and shitty.
Right. No,
Right?
it's so all three of these reforms are supported by a majority of Americans. Okay.
No, they're not.
Okay. That's pretty bold, David.
It just says that.
Yeah.
What proof is there?
But, yeah.
Cite a
like just horseshit, as well as conservative and liberal constitutional scholars. Okay, I'm sure you find one you could pay.
Yeah.
In America, no one is above the law. In America, the people rule.
But isn't it so funny that he's like, and I know like the left says you got nothing on Biden, but I think it's pretty obvious. I still don't know why he hasn't been charged with something. I guess maybe his immunity. But yeah, no, I mean they have all this
continuity?
money coming through different shell corporations. People
Yeah.
don't have 100
There's
shell
a,
corporations.
there's a lot going on. Hopefully it's because he's in power right now, right? They're not going to prosecute
Yeah, they're
him,
just
you know what I
shutting it
mean?
down, but yeah, exactly.
But I mean, hey, we'll see what happens in the future.
and maybe that's the idea. Maybe the conservatives are holding on to it because they know let's not put it to trial now. You're going to lose.
Yeah,
or not even put it.
Wait till things shake out if they actually can have come in
if we
power.
can get
then
a
something else.
DOJ.
So, yeah, even that just I saw even Bill Barr said the other day that Trump is not a threat to democracy. As much as they hated each other, you know what I mean, and went at it, even he was not willing. So maybe they're getting away from that, but now they're the champions of democracy, obviously, by this
And they're champion. Yeah.
hogwash.
Well, they are the Democrats.
So.
Maybe that's what democracy means in their area. It means whatever the Democrats want.
Yeah, democracy is
It's a world of Democrats.
yeah, Democrat democracy.
Maybe it's just a new language we don't understand.
Yeah. Democracies. We have a republic for a reason, and that's why our forefathers put the checks and balances and the electoral system in place. Because Benjamin Franklin said, "Was democracy is like two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. I guess in practice, it really doesn't work.
Yeah,
Like an
it
absolute
destroyed
democracy.
Athens supposedly.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? When they just went
Because
they-
it's mob rule at that time.
Yeah, they ousted the Spartan generals and ended up in a huge war with Sparta and got defeated, and Athens burned in the end.
I think a republic works, but I think where you need people to have checks and balances on the people they elect, and really what you need is an engaged public that knows who their leaders are, or at least the people running for office are. And if you're engaged and you know it, and like it's fairly transparent, you can probably pick a decent enough person, because it's not the hardest thing. Actually, what we need to do is elect less sociopaths and more pussies that are afraid of getting arrested. Because if you're afraid to get arrested, you probably won't do anything illegal while in there, and you'll be happy with your $267,000 a year, and you'll roll with it. I mean, it's a good gig. You know, most of these, like, you know, senator, you got like a whole staff, dude. You don't, you know, you probably lay your clothes out for you. That'd be weird, wouldn't it? Imagine you go wash my car. For me.
I had a roommate that used to like to iron things a lot. It was pretty strange.
What
Said
is it weird?
It's pretty weird.
Must be on the Republican side.
Yeah,
right?
and that's the word of the day for the Democrats, and the word of the week probably. So they're maybe, they're trying to basically, it seems to be the whole Kamala coconut thing. You know, it's they're really trying to get that Gen Z audience, kind of cater to that young lingo. I don't know why maybe people call each other weird a lot, or that's just weird, or maybe cringe is not even a thing anymore. Is it?
Cringe?
Yeah.
I mean, I see it still on.
Yeah.
Total cringe.
Yeah.
Like, those two words are usually put together. And usually it's something that's barely even embarrassing. Kind of clickbaity, you know what I mean? They're like, total cringe. And you're like, but there is some things where it is
So,
accurate.
so they're going with weird this week, right? And it just, I really want to play this to show, like, when the Democrats get their marching orders, they really get on message, right? Like, better than the Republicans. It's one thing they certainly do well.
So they're calling
And-
Trump and Vance weird, is what they're thinking.
Yeah,
their
yeah,
attack
yeah.
is, that they're just weird. Like,
yeah,
you
like
can't-
so they're kind of trying to the whole destroy the democracy Hitler thing, isn't quite working, or maybe they've decided to tone that down for Kamala's new fun-loving persona. You know what I mean? She's going to be the the fun, cool, even though she's like 60 almost, youth. I guess 60, or he's still young. I don't really think so, but
I'm not 60 yet, and I don't feel young.
Yeah,
so,
but I
I
mean,
would
so
say
they're
no.
trying to do this whole thing. Kamala is brat, and
Yeah, she's
the
a brat.
coconuts, and when the whole brat thing is supposed to kind of like you're like a slut for the summer, which
Well,
she
might
kind
be,
of
dude,
kind of fits that bill for a while. I mean, ask Montel Williams, right?
Yeah, she's happily married now, sir.
Well, good for her.
Okay, she's
Bro,
to a white guy.
I don't know if good for him, but
No, I
probably
can't
not.
imagine, dude.
Because I would hate for that.
He's probably gay.
that cackle in the morning.
Allegedly, he's probably a gay man.
Seeing that
and he's
face in
like,
the morning.
she needed someone to like.
I don't know, man. I mean, she is pretty. She's kind of attractive, Joe. You know,
No.
I'm not saying I'm attracted to her.
Dude, have you
I'm
seen-
saying she's not hideous.
Look, this is coming from someone with a big nose. She's got the biggest damn nose. If you actually get a look at her, she's got a nose like one of those.
well, she okay, like most people. She used to be hotter, right?
Sure,
Those old pictures.
But look at her nose, dude. It looks like one of those statues on Easter Island,
Yeah.
dude. She's got like
Easter
it
Island.
does. She's got one of those Moab.
She's got
or what
Easter
they call it.
Island. She's got Easter Island nose.
She does. Look, get a close up picture. We'll check it out later. But dude, it's like
man, yeah.
it's a full on like
She's a Moab, man, for sure.
Yeah.
She's marching to the sea.
for sure. Yeah, she's got a big one on there. She's on. She's not a great looking woman, dude. No, she's not.
So let's watch all these pundits just mimic each other like the parrots that they are.
Kamala Harris by leaning into the word weird to attack Donald Trump and his running mate, J.D. Vance, an apparent callback to Kamala's attack against Trump if she were ever to face him on the debate stage.
Well, it's just plain weird. I mean, that's the box you put that in, right?
It's not
Look at
just
it- look at that nose, though,
a weird style
Their
that he
face
brings.
is long.
It's that this leads to weird policies.
Okay, then, David.
That is weird behavior. More extreme, more weird, more erratic.
I mean, on the other
He's
side,
eating
they're
burgers
just
that are
weird.
uncooked.
The 32 ounces of weird.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate.
And by the way, they are weird. It is bizarre. It's weird.
Look at that.
Oh,
It's
the
very
witch is weird.
Like faking a kidnapping. Not weird.
It's pretty weird.
J.D.
What did she
Vance.
call him?
Fine. Now let's turn.
Just done, Vance.
Just done Vance.
That's so clever.
Project.
Yeah.
That's so clever.
She is. That Anna Navarro boy. Woo.
Yeah, she's a piece of work. Dude, I think we'll know that we're back onto something with our society when I think the first sign will be the View will be taken off the air. I mean, the fact that people watch that, dude, I'm so scared of. Like, who lives in our country, dude? Like, who could watch the View and those women prattle on? And not even just that they're women. Like, if those were dudes, like old guys sitting up there saying stupid shit, I'd be like, oh, these guys are idiots. But I mean, they're literally making millions of dollars to do that. God, it makes no sense to me, Bill. It's fucking ridiculous.
I don't know, man. Like, there's just a lot of weirdness going on this week, brother. Like, nothing was really quite as weird as the Olympic opening ceremony.
No, this is normal, Bill.
Oh, yeah, this is the new normal.
Two guys in suits, one who grew up in Kentucky or Ohio and had to, like, with a drug addict mom. I actually watched his movie, not to like change the subject a ton, but I watched that Hillbilly Elegy, the story, J.D. Vance's story. And the movie was all right. Ron Howard did it, and Glenn Close was pretty good in it. But he had a tough gig going on, bro. He grew up like in a really tough space, and he put himself through Yale and saved his mom from drug addiction at the same time, dude. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm sure she saved herself, but he, like, you know, didn't, like, I would have ran. I hate to say it. Like, I don't know that I would have been there for my family if I was on my way through Yale, fixing to get a good job somewhere in D.C., dude. I don't know if I would have, man. So, but yeah, that's weird.
But he's weird.
But no, this is normal.
But this is normal. Okay.
This is art.
So this is some of the Olympic ceremony here, and I don't really, you know, they're doing all kinds of things. They have all their own narrative about what was going on. That, you know, this is the Olympics. It's, you know, started in Greece. And Dionysus was a Greek god of wine and orgies and just straight up reckless partying, you know, going for the gusto. And they're somehow implementing this, but it's way more than that, and it's super creepy. This is where we're headed right here. Like, if Paris is kind of, you know, more progressive than us, like they're further down the road, say, I think, you know, a bit. Like, the next stop is that shit at Monday Night Football.
Well, let me, yeah.
Like, are you ready?
God.
Are you ready for that? I mean, I don't. God.
Well, the big, like, they tell us that, like, climate change, we're dead in a couple years, right? I mean, that's their big thing. And I'm not going to say that there's definitely not climate change. I don't know how much effect man has on it, but there definitely is climate change. But why would they take a video like this or this type of behavior, which is completely non-conservative, even in the world of, like, you know, conserving, like this shows gluttony and stuff like that, where they're trying to push a whole agenda of you can only go 15 minutes here, you can't use your car this much, you need to maybe share your car, you can't eat steak. They're literally telling everybody on the back end that you have to stop all of the fun stuff, and now they're just showing us what they're going to be doing while we're not eating steak and in our 15-minute cities. You know what I mean? I mean, maybe that's what this is.
Man, I feel like they're just you know,
it's like bragging. It's like, well, we're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, this is the entertainment that you guys want, right? Like, you know, now we've gone from taking Christianity and God and basically, like, okay, kind of removing them from society, you know, separating things, and now we've gotten to a point where it's just straight up mocking. You know, now it's just straight up. It's fun to just demean.
But it's also
Christian
a
values.
little satanic on a tip.
Yeah,
so it's like you're not going to worship.
They're absolutely enjoying it.
Yeah, but it's like you're not going to worship a religion, but you're kind of worshiping a religion. I mean, Satanism is a religion.
I don't know what they're worshiping.
It's probably the oldest.
They're certainly worshiping just decadence and just pure gluttony and
Baal.
Just
Moloch,
just like pretty much the lowest forms of human behavior. I think. You know?
It's like
this is our root. This is animalistic, you know, behavior. Like we know what makes humans best, right? Is when we strive for something, we work toward a goal, a common goal, and we achieve it, and you get that a real good feeling. It's not like this cheap, like, sugar high feeling of doing something naughty. You know what I mean?
No, and
you know, but they're celebrating that, right? And like, look at this crap. I mean, like, where's this weird shit? So you got a beaten up Statue of Liberty that's all bruised up, and we're like, America's on the decline, and we're loving it. And here's the Chinese balloon, you know, flying over.
Is that what that is? The Chinese
well, I mean, there was the balloon situation, and it's red and all. You know what I mean? And there's something happening with the, like, this is all
why is she
symbolic.
all beat up?
Yeah, like they're just showing the decline of America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that's cool. You know what I mean? Like that's what
Isn't
cool people
France
do.
one of our allies?
Supposedly, you know, but doesn't seem that way.
Thanks, France. Appreciate it.
Degrade Christianity and any kind of moral, ethical structure that we've had in the West
Right.
to show children dressed in drag, to be all in drag. Like this is, it's not like it's just a partial thing. Now it's like we're all gay. You know what I mean? You better get gay if you want to be. You know,
If you want to be hip, if you want to come to the party,
if you want to come to the party,
you got to take it however it comes. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't know, thanks. That's the funny thing. They're showing me what they're going to be living like, and I'm still like, God, I would rather die than be in one of these places, man. I'm seriously,
like you said before,
it scares me.
Have a
little bit.
camera follow these people home.
Yeah, let's go home and see them after.
and watch them cry into their pillow.
Yeah, or do like massive amounts. of drugs.
massive amounts of drugs so they can just sleep at night.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm telling you what, dude. This is
I mean,
not
it's
the
wild,
answer.
man. I mean, and, you know, hey, we like punk rock, we like metal, you know, and somewhat. But man, the Olympics, like this is,
And I don't know about French metal.
this is some wild shit.
Saw that
there,
live,
man.
I'd be like, that was fucking weird. You know what I mean? I would sound like one of the ladies on CNN.
Yeah,
I'd be like, that's
and we're
weird.
grown adults that have seen a lot of.
Yeah, I've been to a
concerts
gin
and
and torture show. That's some weird shit
Yeah,
there.
and I feel like this is right up there with like some of the weirdest shit I've seen. This is like a Guar freaking show.
This is
Like,
worse
you know?
though, because there's something just so wrong about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I mean, like the red, like it's certain colors, like kind of mean stuff. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
even though they don't really.
Everything in this thing is symbolic, man. Like these freaking postmodernist director freaks, man.
Yeah. He got
mulled
ratioed.
over all this stuff. Yeah, supposedly there's like hundreds of millions of dollars to put this on that he got. This is
And they can't even show it now, but they got their point across,
freaking
dude.
deal, man.
So there's going to probably be something happening at the Olympics now. You think they opened a porthole with this shit? There's like demons are going to be running the.
Could be.
The
They could
fucking
be
relay?
coordinating another launch at CERN, dude, or something.
The fucking
At the same time.
Simone Biles is going to have horns come out of her head and do a triple flip or something. You're going to be like, damn, dude. The Satans have taken over the Olympics. The demons have. I don't know, bro. I mean,
Yeah, a portal may be opening. All right, on from one weirdness to the next. Joe, you want to introduce this one?
yeah, I saw this today, actually. This is guy's, his name's something Morgan. He was an ex-CIA. I'm guessing analyst from what it sounds like he does. He sounds like he's into data a bunch. And he'll tell the story here, but I guess he was asked before he retired to give the CIA a report on like where we're going in the future and what like which of the plans, because it sounds like a bunch of stuff that like maybe they talked about doing in the 50s. You ever notice there was all these plans? we
There's a
heard
bunch
about?
of plans for biohacking.
For biohacking and what we can do to the body and how the brains can talk to one another and like different like super genes, gene editing. It's all got CRISPR in it.
Oh,
But
wow.
yeah, this is pretty wild, dude. Like, and he actually talks about stuff
More
that
creepy
that exists today. That actually,
singularity, freaking neuro.
yeah, it's all transhumanism.
Transhumanism.
Yeah, and it's
Madness.
and this is where they want us to go.
Right. Plays into our whole,
Or
that
actually,
whole what we just saw right there with this androgyny, fest of just gluttony.
It seems like this is where
Yeah.
we've already gone. If you listen to this guy, this is a little crazy, man. I found this interesting, but you should give it a
All
watch.
right, let's get into it.
A little bit about today is something I was asked to do in 2010 and 2011. I was getting ready to leave over at the CIA where I'd worked for a number of years, and the Intelligence Science Board said, could you give us a brief on what's in store for us in the future? And it was some information I think some people didn't know, and I think it's good for people to be aware of what's going on out there.
It's got a real.
Can you actually send
alien
and receive
feel.
sensory information,
But it doesn't really.
like the Matrix?
It doesn't.
The short answer is yes.
Yes.
What we do know is that DARPA did get permission for 500 operations to do deep brain electrode implants. They haven't published anything yet, but my guess is what you're looking at is human-human thought transference, and certainly in the open science world, that was published last month. Actually, the brain-to-brain transfer of sensory information in two humans, and they achieved a success rate of being right 85% of the time. So
Wow,
you
seems
can
like
attach
definitely
one
on
human
the
brain
Neuralink
to a
that
device.
Elon's
You
working
can
on,
attach
too.
the human brain to another human brain. You can direct motor activity or you can send communication and information. So that's what people are doing. There's a whole world out there of biohacking. I don't know if you're aware of it, but you should be. So normally at the university, we are well regulated by the federal laws about studying and experimenting on humans. There's a biohacking community that is not part of the official science community that is busy trying to attach hardware to humans, and they do it in their basements. They study up on how to do the surgeries, how to connect devices, how to put motherboards in people. And they may use it for some purposes like fishing, using RFID signals in their hands to take information from you. But there are some other interesting developments. When you start thinking about the fluidity of what you can do with your brain, they're experimenting with CE6 and giving people with eye drops night vision.
Dude, this is crazy.
For several hours, a person receiving the night drops can see over 160 feet in the dark. So it's a lot easier to look through your own eyes than it is to put on nods. And it will be a short time before you get a better solution than we get from the biohacking community, but it could also be readily available to almost anybody on the planet. It's going to be harder to keep this under control than it is to keep the special lenses and night vision technology. So I think it's really important that people pay attention to this kind of a thing, because that can give humans the natural ability for a while
I hate
to
people
see
that
in the
cut
dark.
their sideburns off completely like that. I was like, they got like
So people are playing with
white
chemicals
walls.
to enhance the human capacity. They're also experimenting now with
So
how do you add a
sunglasses stay
device
on better.
to the mammalian brain to give it an extra sensory ability. You may not
Red,
want to
black
detect
glasses.
infrared. You might want to have a room temperature detector of radiation,
And they're saying they can do most of this.
depending on what your job is in life. So when you think about it, the possibility now is there to develop different kinds of devices. They could be perhaps used either by intelligence people or by people in the military to have an extra ability to be able to see through a wall.
See through walls.
To see heartbeats.
or you have to look at
We
their
used to
Apple
play
Watch.
with the 18 gigahertz microwave detectors where we could pick up heartbeats through anything but solid steel and water, but that could easily be a human who can see the unique heartbeat that's behind the wall over there that's thermal insensitive. So it doesn't have to be IR. It can be a number of things. Anything that you can co-opt is theoretically now possible to adapt to human brain functioning. All you'd have to learn is the code. You'd have to train with it. It might not be natural at first. You might not understand the signal you're getting, but you can add to human brain function.
I mean, this seems cool.
You can also use it to
But
intercept
it also is
signals.
like, what?
The experiment that was just released this last month, as I said,
know it's gonna be
demonstrated that
Oh,
people
of
could
course.
transfer knowledge from one human to
That's
another.
interesting.
And I commented to a couple of my colleagues, and I said, I think right now the most direct application of that is going to be either covert communication or running drones.
Yeah, think of that.
The set of experiments,
Yeah.
I didn't have videos to show you, but there have been a
never have to,
series
right?
that
You
have
don't
shown you can
operate the
connect the
drone,
human
just
brain to a rat
Imagine just being
and
with covert
control its motor movement
conversations,
and
too,
its
dude.
tail.
Nobody
So you
tracking.
can have
Yeah.
non-human animal drones.
telekinesis or,
You can have the human brain probably run a regular drone at this point, but running a non-human drone,
Take that to
something like a
Vegas?
cockroach or a rat,
Done.
would it be awesome? And now if you were watching the
stand
Olympics and you see the
behind everybody else
coordinated
with
maze
their
of drones, the software is now
Send
really
messages.
readily
Yeah.
available, where you could have hordes of little creatures that can gain access to
sounds-
facilities.
that sounds great,
I want to have hordes of
or
little
move
creatures.
around in different places,
feel
all
like you
run
could
by
put a gun
a
on
person
that.
sitting in a booth. It's no more technically challenging once you do that than
gonna be
figuring
like a
out the
video game.
logistics of how you're going to send your signal somewhere else in the world and how to protect that signal. But that's now. That's not in the future. So as you begin to think what's in 5 years, the interfaces are
Right,
going to
and
become
whatever we're hearing on,
more delicate,
you know,
more
YouTube,
refined,
they've got
and
something
as
10
transcranial
years
magnetic stimulation, it's a rather crude instrument
think,
right
you
now.
know,
It creates a
yeah,
field that excites
Oh, yeah.
just
So,
hordes of neurons. But
this
as
is
they
like
as they
2010 technology.
refine the technology so you can get a better point specificity to the neurons you actually want to activate, you should be able to do this without penetrating the skull. Either someone could wear a cap,
can't do it without
and
that.
in fact that's how the
People's
latest
thoughts.
brain-to-brain
Gotta have
communication in
penetration, too.
humans was done. It was done without surgery
Talk about red
and
flag or, you
actually
know, like-
signaling via some stimulation to the retina and the
False
brain
flags,
decoding
just
it.
sending
Although the person
messages to
consciously
people's
didn't
brain.
know what the code was, the brain did. So that I would recommend people becoming aware of that from the human drone technology standpoint. The second
likes
field
this. This guy's
that
all
people
geeky
may or may
about
not be aware of in I always tell my students, I said I wasn't around when they developed atomic weapons, but Dr. Ventnor's work is my view,
And what's
the
the
equivalent
first thing
of the
we used them
development
for?
of nuclear weapons
To murder
when you
each other.
realize
Yeah.
that he created life in the
Like we
cell
found, you know,
back in 2010.
Oh, yeah, he's supposed
I
to
don't know if people are familiar with his work, but
Atomic
this
fission, yeah,
technology
that's
paired with
incredible.
something called CRISPR, which is like an editing software
Energy
for genes,
source, but what,
makes a
you know,
number of
first
things
we went to use.
immediately available.
Wow.
What he did is he
Depending on the
programmed
threat.
I mean,
yeast
you know, there are
cells
things happening,
to
but I'm just
produce
saying
anything
it's
he wanted.
very
They
indicative
can produce
of
perfume,
what we
they
do
can
with
produce
our
petroleum,
great
they can
breakthroughs,
produce
right?
any
Yeah, it's
peptide,
very
anything we
indicative of what
program
we do
the
when we're in a
DNA to
panic.
do, and it's in the
Anything.
living cell.
Kind of like
And
COVID.
so in medicine,
Yeah,
the
too.
goal in medicine now is to be
Everything's
able
on the
to
table.
do designer medicine and therapy. If we can design a cell to get into your body and release the right product for you,
There you go,
you
that's
won't be
mRNA
losing
vaccine
half the
right
drugs you
Well, what about
take
the
through your
wrong
liver
product
when
for
you
you?
swallow a
We
pill
don't
and it
talk
gets
about that.
digested. These can be inserted into you through
Just
the
the leg.
hypospray needles, almost like Dr. McCoy on Star Trek.
Bill,
Giving you
just
a
a
hyperspray, it just blasts now
Dr.
plasmids
Jim, I'm a
into your
doctor.
squamous cells. But Ventnor was able to do that and has the patent on the
Dr. Jim.
technology. But you can engineer anything. You put in a specific gene slicing, you program what you like, you put it in the cell, and it can reproduce and make as much as you like. For those of you who don't know, your DNA is usually all wrapped up in tight little coils. And so what you're doing is when they create plasmids and put them into cells, it sends a signal and tells which portion of the DNA
Gene
should
therapy
unwrap,
using
unfold,
an
and produce a
adenovirus
product.
vector. Yeah,
Well, this is the future of medicine. When you look at this technology in medicine and say, this is going to be done to help people, right? We want to be able to give them medicines. We actually want to correct for genetic deficits.
that what-
If a kid's
Correct
born
for
with a
genetic
genetic
deficits.
anomaly, with the CRISPR technology, the feeling
also
is
give you
we
a
can
correct
create the
variant.
portion of the gene they're missing
Who
and go
deems
have
what
it
their
spliced
what
back
genetic
in.
deficits are?
And that may help the child
Well, if
either
you're
if
missing,
it's
like,
in
an arm, I
utero
guess, is what
development
they're
Yeah, I mean,
or
okay,
once
I
they're
buy
older
that,
to
but, you know,
have
it's a slippery
the
slope.
missing
It goes one
substance
further than that.
actively produced. What would you do with this if you were in security and intelligence?
Nothing good.
Well, you can do a number of things. You could decide, if you make this gene, we know that certain people in the world who function at very high altitudes very, very well do it because they had a special mutation in their genome that we don't have because we didn't grow up in the Himalayas. But they can function at very high altitudes.
Right.
Could you give this to people who are going to have to do
me up.
warfighting in high altitudes and they don't require extra support? Their body makes a much more efficient use and can work under conditions of lower oxygen than the rest of us.
It's a superpower in a
You
way.
start letting your mind wander. Can it also produce a substance that lets you function longer underwater without
Stack
oxygen?
a bunch of little abilities,
So-
right?
But these are run by certain mutations in genes,
This
and
is
with
total
CRISPR, we have the
transhumanism.
ability
Like the
to actually
Bourne
make
stuff,
these
man.
You're like the Bourne
and see what
guy,
happens
Jason
when we
Bourne,
give
you're
them
like,
to
I don't- I
animals,
guess
non-human
it's-
or human animals.
More than
great
that, even,
that
you know
don't
what I
have
mean?
it
You've got like
naturally.
every genetic advantage that there is.
Yeah,
You could have the Forrest Gump gene. You guys been tracking? There's a gene that just makes you stronger.
just makes you stronger. Yeah, it's gonna be. You're gonna be able to design your babies in the future, and they kind of
Related to this is an idea called DREADS. These are designer
It's definitely some Brave
receptors
New World stuff.
that
like
can
the-
be remotely
in that
controlled.
book, you know, the alphas only could breed with their,
Right,
their
right.
alphas.
So think about it for a
They
moment.
didn't even really.
You can
breed,
create
they
a
just-
designer receptor.
Yeah, well,
genes,
I think
you
at the
can create
very
a cell.
top echelon.
You can put it
some
somewhere
did.
in the body, and you can remotely activate it
Listen to this shit.
when the brain's exposed to the right signal. Using this technology, people have been able to transfer
called
memories
dread.
from one fruit fly to another by signaling through a light stimulus into the retina.
So you can change.
Right
people's
now,
minds and
in
make them
most
do
animals,
shit.
it's done by putting
You
a
don't need a
substance
Manchurian
into the
candidate
body
anymore. No more LSD.
that
Yeah,
will
we're done.
actually activate the
we're
neuron
fucked.
in the way that you want it. So you have the capacity to create any product,
They're spraying
as
shit
long
in
as
the
you know the
skies.
DNA sequence. You can
How
insert
do you
it into a
defeat
living
this
system,
world? I don't know.
and you
How
can
do
remotely
that?
control
I
it.
mean, you know.
So in medicine, we think about how we do that to help people, how we do to repair deficits. Other people are going to
You
think about
could
how do we
stop
do
it
it to
if everybody
expand
didn't go to work
possibilities.
tomorrow.
Now, one of the challenges that we have
Everybody.
is
I mean, I just
that
think we
when
need-
you
I
create
mean,
a cell and you
I
put it
talked
in
about
somebody's
ethics
body,
and stuff. We
you have
need-
to figure out
What about
where you want
scientific
it.
ethics?
What if
what
you
about
want
like
it
just
in their
because
brain,
you can do something doesn't mean you should.
right? If
let's
you
talk
want it in
about
their
what
brain
this could-
and
ramifications
you
of this
can't
on
figure
other
out,
people.
you
Yeah,
don't
and
want
how
to do
many people
surgery
is this
to
gonna
plant
hurt
it
at
in
the
their brain.
beginning? Like,
I want a
these
product
things don't usually go
produced
well at first.
in
Very
your
rarely,
brain
right?
that may
I mean,
affect
It's
the way
about
you
the future,
think,
like
the way
how
you
the
act.
people that are
One
gonna
route
yeah, it's
to
just,
that
there's
is
so many
through
ramifications to
stem
this.
cells.
Just charge into
Here,
this stuff.
a
like-
quick
you wanna
brush
vote
up
for
on your
Donald Trump?
biology.
It's all
Stem
good.
cells are
Poof,
cells.
here's
They're
a
called
ray
God
on your head.
cells.
Now you're voting
They can
Biden.
turn into
You know what I
anything.
mean? It's like
They hold the
They
potential,
literally
unlike
wanna
other
control- I
cells in
guess
your
maybe
body, to
we
become
wouldn't even know.
anything you want them to become.
Re-education.
And they can go
done at
find
a
their home
cellular
in the body
level.
and park there and do the work that you'd like them to do.
Scares the shit out of me because
Yeah, I mean, this is
You
part
can
of the real.
infuse them,
This
and they
might
will
be the
find their
real
way into
culture
the brain.
war, honestly. Like, is this?
So once you know that the
transhumanist
technology
culture
is there
versus
Is this
to edit,
good?
human
splice,
culture?
and program a cell, and the technology
maybe we're
currently
lost
exists
between the left
to
and the right. It's
administer
really
to
about
somebody and have it go
technology
park
versus
anywhere you program it to go
some kind
park,
of human
proliferate,
traditionalism.
and do its function.
yeah, and the idea is
you
that
can
the
have
technology
things
will make up
activated
for
in
other
other people's
deficits that are
brains.
created, but it doesn't always work. It's kind of a race between like the loss of all these structures.
Well, it seems like
and
every time
technology.
that humans try to think that they're better than nature and they got better answers, they're always wrong.
Most of the time, it does seem
Yeah,
most of the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
I mean, you know, they mess with. They'll bring in a certain bug to eat these other bugs, and then they got too many of those
and they end up
bugs. or-
fucking it up, right? Or,
yeah,
I mean,
there's
like,
the.
I mean, if you want to believe the COVID thing, right? Like they tried to, like, oh, we're going to try to learn more about this, but what did they end up doing? Just,
Well,
exactly what they feared, supposedly.
God only knows what they were thinking with that.
Yeah.
You try to give
But
them
I'm
the
sure
benefit
that's
of
not
the
the
doubt.
only gain of function research that's going on.
Oh no!
Well,
well, obviously they're saying in their own basements. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Who? When?
Yeah,
Where?
he did say basements, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, so what are you talking?
Is that where Joe Biden's been doing this kind of?
They probably
is he-
are. They're probably sending all kinds of genes, and he keeps rejecting them. And they're
is he
like,
doing this kind of research.
we can't do anything. He's falling apart. He's like Mr. Burns. He's got like a million things in his body. He does
Right,
got
right.
a Mr. Burns look
I
about him.
remember that
That
episode.
synchronicity,
Yeah,
or-
there was a door, and it was like he's perfectly balanced with the different bacterias and viruses. If one was to be lost, then they would break through the doorway, and they're like all just jammed in it. But there's just like a perfect amount.
Yeah, and he's gonna live forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, if you actually
getting
look at the
some
way that
kinda
Biden does do that kind of walk thing, where he's got his
poisoned
hands up
equilibrium.
like this. He like walks like Mr. Burns a bit every now and then. They do this. Old guys
Yeah.
do this like they can't keep their hands up.
It's true. It's a little bit of Bela Lugosi vampire.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like ooh,
Yeah. It's a little weird, dude.
They do
It's-
like the blood.
And Mr. Burns had that same thing. They got about the same amount of hair on their heads.
Yeah.
It's very similar. Mr. Burns, I feel, is much sharper
Yeah.
than Joe. Like, I mean, he's running,
yeah.
he's
Oh,
running
yeah.
a corporation and all kinds of like evil societies. So yeah, I mean, you know, he's got his thing going on. But
Yeah.
that shit's a little crazy, though, don't you think? I mean, that was a good watch, wasn't
Absolutely.
it? It's
It just scared. I mean, this whole show has just been disturbing, to be honest with you, just straight through.
this whole year's been disturbing.
Yeah, but
Bill.
I mean, like it's just like we've kind of just to take a little step back from all the action in the news cycle of assassination attempts and presidents stepping down and just groundbreaking stuff, right? Like historical happenings. To just take a step back, but they won't even let us like take a breath. It
No,
feels
that's
like,
the plan, dude.
Is to just keep it moving, keep the energy pumped, man.
I feel like we're succumbing to their plan a little bit. Like whenever I feel myself
Yeah.
getting stressed out, I'm like, I think that's what they want, as far as they want the whole population like completely like on edge, because then they can like, I mean, you can get people to do anything at that point, dude. You can like, do another COVID, do an attack, a terrorist attack, another 9/11 or something like that, and everybody's
nobody
spazzing.
would be surprised at anything that would happen right now. To be honest,
No,
We've
I mean,
already
it's like a
seen
bingo card.
the craziest stuff ever.
Yeah,
And it's just we're just moving along, right? Like President Trump just had an assassination attempt again. He just took a bullet, in the ear. It just barely missed his dome.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. I mean,
Sorry.
because according to Christopher Wray, it may have been exploding glass from the podium.
Yeah.
We're not sure. We are sure actually about that.
And he did come back, I think, and say, but once again,
Okay, but he
got it out there.
He put it out there exactly.
Yeah,
He
and
got
people
it.
are going to quote that for the end, because that's all that like half the people. I mean, I see that, and I'm on the left, and that's my talking point for the next week and a half. I'm like, well,
the
the
FBI
FBI
director
just said he didn't even know, and it's like, the funny thing is there was already a doctor's report. Like, you're in the FBI and you haven't seen the doctor's report?
Yeah. No, it's just so ridiculous
If
to
you're-
even just throw that out there. But that's where we're at right now, right? Like it's just one absolutely ridiculous thing that it feels like in the news 20 years ago it would have been the story of the year, right? But now it's the story of the minute. You know what I mean? Is absolutely just as explosive as something that would have captured the country, for a whole year.
I mean, even legitimate stuff like the news is always, ever since 24-hour news was created. Like we didn't grow up with that. If you remember, there was like the nightly news. There was no CNN, none of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started becoming, cognizant of the news as much, like it was CNN was really getting off the ground.
Yeah, and that was the first.
And it was
24
pretty. It was pretty shoddy. Actually, it was called the Chicken News Network. I remember back then. It was kind of a bit haphazard. It really felt like right when we were starting to invade Iraq. It was Desert Storm 1 when they started showing like round the clock bombing of Iraq, man, at that time. And it was just, all it was a black screen with like a bunch of green, like missiles and like an infrared night scope.
Right, I remember. Yeah,
but it was fascinating, dude. It was like I'd watch a stupid
you never
screen,
got to see war before.
A screen with some green things, exploding on it. And I was like, oh my god,
it's war,
this is like,
man.
this is, real time live. And we'd seen the movie War Games and stuff. We're like, oh, yeah.
What if CNN was created just so that they could show us 24-hour war and get us behind it?
Yeah.
Think about it. It's CIA, or maybe it's the CIA news network.
It certainly worked for Desert Storm.
I mean, what was that? Mockingbird, Operation Mockingbird? That was, proven thing where the CIA had assets in every major news organization. The documents came out. It was always a conspiracy theory, but they came out, and it was a real thing, and they admitted to it. And, everybody for some reason thinks, well, that was back then. There's none in there today. Well, why would they stop?
Oh, man, this has gotten times a million, man. I don't know, Joe, man. Like, it feels like I'm just going to go ahead and let's wrap her up, man. Play the outro.
Yeah. Good luck out there, everybody.
Yeah, we just need to, rock some Sons of the Working Class here. And
world's going to hell in a handbasket.
Go out with a drink and a song.
Drinking a song.
And a friend, hopefully. So, kiss your children, hug your, your loved ones tight, pet your cat, raise a glass, because I don't know how much longer this is gonna last.
I'd just like to say, if anybody else out there feels like for the first time in their life, even though their life is fairly normal and easy, that it might, like, you don't know whether or not you should even be preparing for the future because you don't know what the F's going to happen. Please comment. Let me know I'm not the only one who's like, geez, why do I...
Please give us a subscribe.
Why am I going to work?
Keep this conversation going. You're right. I mean, I think we're all just we're all holding our breath. When the next shoe is going to drop, right? Like, and what will happen tomorrow? Well, all we know is it's going to be crazy, because the ramping up of the crazy.
Yeah, I should be building a cabin in the woods, Bill. I should be out there like burying food in the ground and setting bear traps and shit like that. But instead, I'm going to work being like, well, hopefully there is an economy in a world.
Yeah, I mean, all you can do is just keep on keeping on, right? And I think that's where everybody's at. That's why the wheels keep turning, right? Because, hey, we got, families to take care of and lives to lead. And
absolutely.
Hopefully they don't, try to ignore these idiots sometimes, even as engaged as we are with politics. And I think you need to know what's happening with these sick fucks, man, that are out there trying to manipulate our world. We still need to keep it local, right? Keep it, remember those that you care about that are around you every day, and that when they open their mouth, kind of believe what they coming out of it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. It'd be nice if we could believe that about the people on the news and the people in our government and all that. And, the funny thing is, people in the government always say, well, that's how government works. Well, I contend that if all y'all changed it, that wouldn't be the way government works.
Yeah. Well, this is it for us. Signing off. Monday night, another wild week. We'll be back with you next week. All right, everybody, buckle up. I'm sure they got more to throw at us. But for now, thanks for listening. And have
a good night.
Like and subscribe. Have a good night.